Cold out today, huh?
Very cool, but it's sunny.
Great day for hockey,
Can't beat that.
as we say. Weekend against Princeton. Certainly disappointed with our Friday night result, and good effort and rebound on Saturday. Friday night's game was one of those games that we did some things we really liked. We made some big mistakes, which cost us. And you know, again, a theme that's been pretty consistent is just finding the back of the net. It's pretty tough to score just a goal and win. And yet, I was probably more disappointed in we just didn't have everybody going that night. And that's not going to be good enough for our team to have success. We have to have everybody going every night. So Saturday morning we had a real good workout. I think we refocused, played a pretty complete game on Saturday night, and really kind of let them back into the game with a couple mistakes we made that they took advantage of. But I thought overall we played pretty well. It's nice to see the puck going a little bit. So would have really liked to get out of there with 2 wins, and we didn't. So that's disappointing. And now we head into Minnesota, who clearly been picked to win our league, is an awfully talented team with a lot of depth on their team. Now they have a lot of experience on their team. You know, team in the championship game of the NCAA last year. So I'm confident our guys will be ready to play. And, you know, I think given our pre-conference schedule, we've played teams of different sorts. And, you know, some of the teams that we played show some similarities to Minnesota. I think what differentiates their team from maybe some teams that we played is their experience and their depth now. I mean, they still have a lot of young players, but obviously playing in the NCAA championship game last year gave them lots of experience. So, very good team. We have lots of respect for them, and we'll have to be at our very best to give ourselves the best chance to have success.
You played 4 really close games with them last year. Was there something that matches up well for your team against them that you can carry over into this season?
You know, I'm not so sure it's the matchup as much as we played hard, and we had everybody playing hard in our lineup. And I think that's a really important focal point for us. We need to get everybody going every night. It can't be 2 groups, you know, or 4D. It's got to be everybody. And when we don't have that, then we struggle. And so last year when we played them, for whatever reason, both here and there, we played some of our better hockey all season long. So I'm hoping that you know, that's the kind of effort we'll see this weekend.
You kind of alluded to that with getting everybody going. Last 2 weekends you've had DeBlau, you've had Sorensen, and you've had Darnell get goals for you guys, and those are guys, 3 guys that you pointed to that had down years last year. Are you starting to see them turn the corner a little bit, and how important are those 3 right now heading into Big Ten, like the heart of the Big Ten season?
You know what? They can be really important, and we need guys like that, especially who have experience, have had demonstrated some level of success offensively, to make sure that they bring their A game every day. Not just on game day, but every day at practice, leading into the games. And so for us, that's a real point of emphasis. How we prepare so we're ready for the moment. And so it was good to see those guys bring what they brought. And you know, Tanner hasn't played, and you know, he was a factor in that game on Saturday and that win. And as was Matt DeBlau. And so, you know, we're looking for both a level of performance and a level of consistency that we can count on every game, and we need that throughout our whole lineup, not just with those guys, but with everybody.
Going back to that game Saturday night, you guys looked like you were in control of the game, and then your goalie makes a big save on a 2-on-0. How much did that flip momentum back in their favor going into the 3rd period?
You know, there are these moments in games that can change games. And, you know, we had a 2-on-0 Friday night, too. We had 2 2-on-0s, and we didn't score.
2-on-0s.
Yeah, 2-on-0s. I'm trying to think of the last Pee Wee game that I saw. There were 2-on-0s in the game, you know. But those can be momentum swings, and I thought we really had a lot of momentum going at one point. They called a really good timeout to kind of take that away. And in their games out there, it's interesting because they had no TV timeouts all weekend.
Basket.
Yeah, so the games both were fast, and those stoppages, now don't become part of the game. And so momentum swings were basically part of the game, other than a timeout that was called. And so for us, we've got to be able to respond to that stuff, because that's going to happen where we've got the momentum, and then all of a sudden it changes. You got to weather that storm, and vice versa. We've got to be able to start by weathering the storm and coming back. And so usually there's key moments that cause that: goals, big saves, maybe a big hit, maybe a penalty, and a couple other situations. But there was a couple momentum swings, and like I said, I thought we had the game well in control, and then all of a sudden, we gave up a couple goals that one on a defensive breakdown, actually both of them on defensive breakdowns, and our margin for error is so tight. We got to be real careful over those things. Got to make people really earn their goals.
Valentino and Barry have accounted for more than a third of your guys' offensive production. So before the season, you had alluded to how your team needed some dependable goal scorers. So how valuable have they been, and how important is it that they keep it going through that season?
Well, it's real important for us, and I think what's important is that they maintain their level of productivity, and we need some new people to help emerge. And what you hope doesn't happen is when the new people emerge, that doesn't dry up, because right now, if you look at the losses, and for the most part, how close the scores were in those losses, if we had higher goal productivity, our record flips, And so, and it allows you the freedom to play a little freer, maybe take a few chances and so on. So what they've done to date has been a good body of work. I hope it continues to grow. I know they're playing with confidence. They're playing hard. They're playing with a good level of consistency, and I think that's really important. And that's what usually comes first. The productivity comes after the level of consistency. And so that's where we want to get, more of our roster, where there's this high level of performance. Part of it is finding the right combinations. And so we're still kind of tweaking and searching to find that, both 5-on-5 and even in special teams play.
Going back to Tanner for a second, what does Sorensen have to do, John, to stay in the lineup, to continually to win your trust and support?
He needs to play with a focus and compete level that gives us confidence every night. He has strengths in his game, very good skill set, can play with speed, can make plays. He's got a great shot, But we need his level of focus and his consistency and his performance to be there every single day. Not sometimes, yeah, in practice. Yeah, and that's, we always tell guys, practice means a lot. Guys that are looking for opportunity. I want opportunity. You get opportunity every day. That's where you're measured. You're measured every day in practice. And what we see in practice, there are very few athletes who can just show up and play games and perform at a very high level in any sport, So you use your body and work of practice to build a level of confidence that when it's time to perform, when the pucks drop, this is what you're going to get, Then you evaluate those situations, And so for him, that was a good start for him. I was happy to see. I'm sure it's got to be a confidence boost, but that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a level of focus, seriousness, determination, compete, call it what you will, that we can count on every day and every night we play.
The preparation's got to be there through the week.
Very important, because that leads us to, to feel comfortable that, hey, if you're prepared to play, it gives you a good chance to play. If you're not, what's the chances that you'll perform very high? So showing that level of consistency is very important.
Did that line just go together just by happenstance? Just thinking.
Yeah, we shook it up after Friday night. I wasn't happy with. I thought better than half of our lineup did not perform to the level of expectation we had. And so, you know, we happened to, on this particular trip, bring the whole team, which is unusual. But because it was a holiday and it wasn't a conference game, we could do that. And that gave us flexibility to kind of, you know, change the lineup a little bit or really shake it up. And so that doesn't necessarily mean the guys that we took out didn't perform well per se, but it gave us an opportunity to try something different, and that's what we did. So we tried some different combinations.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, but you keep bringing up the focus thing.
Mhm.
Where's that coming from? Why is that missing from the players? Is it a lack of interest? Is it a lack of confidence? Are you frustrated by this? Is there just some disconnect?
No, I don't think I don't think it's it's at a terrible level, but I think what, you know, as you gain experience, as you become a better player, as you become a better team, you have to close the windows and when there might be breaks in that focus, and that can happen on the simplest things. And in games, you know, the way our games are going, just like this game I'm describing on Saturday, I thought for the most part we were dominating the game, and yet we had two fundamental breakdowns that now result in goals. Well, now we got a game after dominating the game for 45, 50 minutes. And so we have to close that gap. You know, we have to make that gap where you have potential breakdowns and minimize it so you can overcome them in different ways. One is scoring more goals, you know. So for some guys, it's a bigger issue than others. I mean, I remember as a player myself having to learn how to fight through the highs and lows of whatever your role might be. There's some guys that are playing 22 minutes a game. There are other guys that are playing 6-8 minutes a game. So when you're not as involved in the game, it takes a different focus sitting on the bench being ready when your number's called to hop in and stay in it. And sometimes you don't have any control over how that ebbs and flows because of the dynamics of the game. So I think it's always an area of focus for any team. But for our team, as we're still kind of trying to find our way and create the identity we want, to me, that's something that we have to keep working on to be better. Because the better we are, I think the higher we'll perform. There's a lot going on, you know, for these guys, considering, you know, they're spending their days at school. Like we're in the middle of finals. You know, you have a long travel weekend. You know, you're preparing for finals. You've got a couple weeks, you know, left before your break. Guys have been away from home for a while, you know, some further than others. So all these dynamics are playing out. You get 27 guys you're trying to bring together. And you know, we have a small senior class. So normally, like my first year, we had a large senior class. It was a little less of a factor, you know, more maturity, more experience. We're still kind of on that upswing downside where we're learning some of that.
Kind of talk about, before the season, Ferentino elevating his game offensively. When you recruited him, did you ever expect him to be on pace for 20 goals or score 20 goals? And, I mean, you knew Barry was a goal scorer coming in, but, I mean, does that offensive outburst kind of surprise you in some way?
Yes. Part of it is opportunity. He's taken advantage of the opportunity that he's created. You know, I give him all the credit. He's created the opportunity. But to be very frank, when we recruited him because we knew what kind of kid he was. We knew he'd bring a smile, a high work standard, a history of having leadership. And I was hoping that he would be a good third-line center. You know, and we thought, heck, if he's a good third-line center, that'd be great. So, you know, he's outperformed our expectations to date.
Besides Ferentino, who else on your roster have you been so far pleasantly surprised with?
Well, I think there's a number of guys that we've been pretty pleasantly surprised with. I shouldn't say surprised, but what we're looking for is a level of consistency. So, you know, Joe Cox hasn't scored And I'm sure that's probably a little frustrating for him at times because I know he wants to contribute. And yet he's contributing in different ways that are of great value to the team. Like Saturday night, he blocked key shots. He made a real cool play, second effort play on Ferentino's goal, the opening goal. So his level of consistency has been good, and it's certainly appreciated. In fact, Matt Berry got hurt on Friday night, and Matt's been probably our most consistent offensive player, not just in scoring goals, but in creating offense. And so we lost that for the better part of the second period, and that hurt. And so the next night, we thought it might be helpful to move Matt over on the right wing as opposed to being on the left wing, given his injury. And Joe just adapted to it. So I think him, as I mentioned, Matt has been a pretty darn consistent offensive player, so that's good. And I think you look back on defense, and that's an area that we're constantly working on trying to get better, and we're working towards trying to get a greater level of consistency. But I think that group in general is making nice, good progress. I think you're starting to see the freshman guys get their feet under them, get more confident, start adding dimensions to their game. And then, it's nice to see, like, Travis Walsh has produced some points, produced some offense, has been contributing to the offense a little bit. As you know, coming into the season, that was an area that we felt we needed to get better. We're not where we need to be, but we're progressing. And so we need to continue that progress.
When you look back at the early part of your season, you had 5 series that you've split. Every series you've had, you've split. How much does that weigh on the team's confidence, knowing that they haven't really put together the back-to-back, they haven't been able to get the results in back-to-back games yet?
Well, I think it wears on you. It definitely wears on you because you want to have success. You work real hard for it. You look at the full body of work, and then you look at each individual game, and there were games that got away for different reasons. Some games I felt we deserved a better result, but we couldn't finish, and that's a matter of execution. Scoring goals a matter of execution. So when you're losing 1-0 or 2-1, that creates some level of frustration because you're right there, and if you can convert chances, they could result in wins. So, we have to play through that. That's where we are. To me, that's kind of getting over the hump or turning the corner. We're right there, but we've got to stay the course. We have to remain disciplined to help us make that turn. And if we allow ourselves to get frustrated, even though it's frustrating at times, if we allow ourselves to get frustrated and let that fester, it's not going to enhance performance. So we've got to learn to deal with that.
Tom, after the 8 games on the road and now with 5 games over the next month in this state, what have you learned about your team from all those road games against 5 different teams?
I think we're learning what it takes for our team to have success. And that is, we've got to have a very strong work ethic. We have to have a tough-mindedness that nothing's going to come easy. We're going to have to work for everything, earn everything that we get, and to do that, we have to do it together. And if we don't, we're not we're not very good. But when we do, we can be pretty darn good. So hopefully over the course of time here, we can do the things that we do well with consistency. It can produce positive results, and it's the positive results that produce confidence. And that's where we have to get. Hard thing to get, but that's where we have to get. And I think the opportunity presents itself.
You guys are facing Minnesota this weekend. It's your first Big Ten home series. How important is it for you guys to get off to a fast start against a really top-ranked team?
It's important. As you saw against BC, I thought that game the way it went, like that's a game that we let get away from us. And part of it was we had to overcome a very slow start, giving up a goal in the opening seconds of the game. So when you say a fast start, it's just important that we're ready when the puck's dropped. We're jumping because their team plays with speed. There'll be lots of tempo out there, and we've got to both match it. Ideally, you'd love to set it, but at least match it and get up and down the ice with those guys. Because as you do that, you gain confidence, and that's what's happened. Last year when we played that team, because they're a good team. They're a good team. They're one of those teams that can score in bunches. And so, again, going back to focus, you can't lose focus. If you give up a goal, you just got to stay the course, and you got to play the next play. And so, for us, we'll adjust to some of the things that they do. But there again, our execution has to be, has to continue to get better, both defensively and offensively.
Hildebrand starting?
LD will start, assuming he's healthy.